Hello, folks. Welcome to a special Birminology on LettermenRow.com. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. You probably know this guy, Ryan Day, the Ohio State's 25th football coach. I'm not real good at math, Ryan. We talk about that a lot on the show, but it's signing day. Your first full signing day is in the books. Is this the first time you've sat down in a month? Because I can't imagine, with everything that's happened in the last few weeks between the Big Ten championship game, the constant on the road with recruiting, trophies, ceremonies for awards, now getting ready for Clemson. Like, how good does it feel to just relax for even an hour?
Yeah, certainly not relaxed though. There's a lot going on, and we talked about it in the press conference how crazy of a stretch run this is.
Right.
But it is what it is, and everybody deals with it. So you got to handle it. And so we are. I thought the way we handled it last week was tremendous, and I had a good week of practice, and now the guys are going to get away for a couple of days, and then we go about the business of getting ready to go play Clemson, out there in the desert. But the staff did a great job, and it's hard to push through this time of year, when it's late in the season. But again, that's why I want to make sure that our guys are fresh. That's why I don't keep these guys here till 2 a.m. during the season, because you want them to be fresh. And so our guys do our work. We get them out of here the best we can. The reason for that is so that we're fresh in November when it matters. We're fresh in December when it matters. And so I think you saw a little bit of that down the stretch with our guys.
Speaking, fresh, you're talking about your staff on the road nonstop in the last 2 weeks. Spencer and I have joked about it on our podcast, but do you think the NCAA should give you a few days back for missing essentially a week of recruiting? I mean, how valuable would that time have been in the last 3 days leading up to today if you and your staff and other coaching staffs around the country who didn't get to recruit while you were preparing for a conference title? Would that be something you would welcome, or was it like, hey, I don't care because whatever, it's 3 extra days and I can sit at home, sleep at home?
I think we need to take a hard look at the whole way it's set up, because right now the way it's set up, it is a little unfair.
Yeah.
I mean, to say I'm the head football coach at Ohio State and I, in 5 days, have to go to these award ceremonies, see 14 kids are coming at mid-year.
Right, not even getting a chance to see other kids who you may be recruiting.
Exactly right. I don't know how am I supposed to do it? Yeah. And so, I wasn't able to see everybody. But then like G. Scott and his dad were like, listen, you don't have to worry about coming to see us. We're good. Go see some of those other guys. I was like, these parents are unbelievable. These kids are unbelievable. And so that made it great. And it was exciting because you're going to the Nagurski Award, you're going to the Heisman, you're going to these different places. And then, by the way, we had a weekend that weekend. You know what I mean? So I think we need to look at that and in the offseason have some conversation about the way the calendar hit.
Is there more value to being on the road and being at the Nagurski Award, you being on TV at the Heisman, than there is you being on someone's couch and talking to their parents and eating a casserole? Like where's the value really for the program?
Well, I think you have to be at those things, because I think you have to support the players. They put a lot of work in. Those are such prestigious awards, but at the same time, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah. And I was late for the press conference in the CFB.
Oh, I know. It was all over Twitter.
Yeah, and
Ryan Day doesn't care about the playoff.
Right, and that was because I was in California going to see those guys, and that was really important. And I think that had a lot to do with signing C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
Was being there that morning, which I was, and we thought it would be an hour meeting. It went 2.5 because his mom had questions, and so. But that's the give and take, and you try to do the best you can to work through it. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to make everybody happy.
Aren't you like, Mom, seriously, you're going to be on a plane to Columbus in an hour. Can't you ask us about this then?
But I think if you ask her, she said that one of the things that she felt really good about was the fact that we spent time in her house and talked to them, and that made a difference. And if that makes a difference, then yeah, we need to be there at that time.
So signing day, everything that you thought would happen today did. The cream on the top, the cherry on top is obviously C.J. Stroud. How hard was that discussion initially with Jack Miller, with his family, of saying, we understand you'd prefer us to not have another quarterback, but we have to? I mean, was that an easy conversation? Did it take a minute of sitting down, or how did that really all come to fruition? Because people who read the site and watch and listen know when the C.J. Stroud interest started, but how did it really get to this point with Jack and his family?
First off, Jack is somebody that we recognized early on, and they've been loyal. He's somebody that I've wanted to be the quarterback here for a long time. And so, in the conversations we had over the years, because that wasn't just in the last couple of months, it was over the years, is that there has to be other guys in that room. Now, who are they? And we thought it was going to be Tate, and then Tate left. We thought it would be Matthew, that Matthew left.
Right.
And so then, in those conversations with he and his family, it was like, there has to be some other people in this room. And so we looked at a lot of different people. We looked at people from the Midwest. We looked at people from the East Coast. We just looked at a lot of people, and it wasn't the right fit for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And we wanted that fit to be right for Jack too, because Jack had been here for a long time. And then, CJ is somebody that we recognize is obviously tremendously talented, but would be the right fit in that room.
Yeah.
And I think, both of those guys understand that they're going to come in. And the only thing you can guarantee is that there's going to be 2 or 3 guys in that room who you're going to compete with.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a fair shot, and you're going to get developed in the best offense in the country. And those are the conversations.
Is it easier to tell Jack, to tell his family, we're going to recruit the best player we can find to compete against you because this is Ohio State? Or is there a part of you that says, hey, maybe we should find a developmental guy or somebody that's a little further behind because it's more fair? I mean, is there a moment in the discussion at all where you're talking about fair, or is it always, this is Ohio State, this is the standard, there will not be a charity offer or something just to fill a spot?
There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot in the conversation, but at the end of the day, there's going to be 2 or 3 other guys in a room, and you're going to have to compete. Yeah. And that fit is critical for us. And again, I thought that this fit was right, and what an opportunity, for them to come in here and now compete for that spot. And they're both coming in at the same time. I think they're really going to get along, by the way. I just think that their personalities are going to fit good. And then they go about the business of developing. And that's what it comes down to in the end. And is everything perfect? No, it's not. But I know that they're both going to have a fair shot. They're both going to compete and go from there. But again, like you said, it's not perfect. It's a lot of conversation, a lot of trust. And I think that we have 2 really good young men who are excited about being here.
One of the things that we've kind of coined in the recruiting thing is CART, right? Comfort and relationships, and then trust, right? So you kind of have to put the cart before the horse in all these conversations. But nowhere in this recruiting cycle was that better exemplified than with Paris Johnson, who didn't ever reopen his commitment, despite the fact that it was probably a year ago today or something where you guys sat down and with Monica and with Paris and said, this is where we're at. And they walked out of your office saying, we're going to look around, but we're going to give you a shot. Like, did it ever occur to you that there was a real possibility that Paris would end up elsewhere? And how did the relationship with him change, not just the offensive line haul in this class, but the entire class?
Well, yeah. I mean, there was a time where we were very concerned. Yeah, we were. I mean, especially when you go to visit places like they visited, and those guys do a great job of recruiting. They have a lot to offer. But at the end of the day, I think the relationship here was built slowly over time, and they're very relationship-oriented people. Yeah. And so when the coaching change had happened, that kind of rocked their world. And I think a big reason why they came here was because of Coach Meyer. Yeah. And then we said, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start from scratch. And I think Monica would tell you this, that we, on both sides, we want it to happen like this. Yeah. It didn't. And that's not how it works.
Well, there's a tendency to issue an ultimatum in those situations, right. and you guys purposefully avoided that.
That's right.
And I remember speaking to Monica about this back in March or so, and she said that the fact that you handled it that way was the difference maker. And I think it's funny because Legend, for example, decommitted, right? But Legend probably took fewer visits elsewhere than Paris did. So, I mean, as a coach.
But the funny thing about that is that those are probably some of the closest relationships we had.
Right.
And we went through all that together, and we got through the back end, and now our relationships are strong. And they had the biggest impact, both Monica and CJ, on this whole class.
And especially in the last few days when there's the turmoil with Jeff Hafley leaving. How are you approaching? I know that there's 2 players left in this class that are committed that haven't signed. Is the approach the same? Is it there is no ultimatum? There's a spot for you no matter what. You know who we are. We trust you. We need you to trust us, and this is yours if you want it? Or is there any sense of I don't want to say frustration, because these kids have a right to feel the way they do, but how do you handle that now? Maybe a year down the road from learning how to be a head coach.
I think in both of the situations you're talking about, the coach took a job, and so it's a week before signing day. So I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And I want them to feel comfortable. And Lathan Ransom and Ryan Watts and Court Williams and Legend Cavazos, they feel comfortable because this is where they want to be.
Yeah.
Those other guys, they need a little more time. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And so, we're going to support them, keep recruiting them. And, there's a long time now before February. And so we're going to actually have time to get out there and spend time with them in January, which we really did in December. So I think it's going to be good.
People asked you on Monday about your timeline for replacing Halfley. I'm not going to dive into that, but in the last year, what is it that you've learned the most about recruiting, or that changed your perception about recruiting now that you're doing it as a head coach for the first time? Is there one or two moments where you're like, whoa, I can't believe this is what goes on, or how do we compete with this and this happening? What is it that maybe caught your attention that you didn't expect?
Yeah, nothing really is anything I didn't expect, just because, it was such a big part of what we've done leading up to this point, and as the head coach, you're just more involved. You just have so many more people you need to get in touch with.
Yeah.
As the quarterback coach, you had your quarterback and a couple other guys, recruited Harry, recruited Garrett,
Right.
But now it's everybody, and it's all their parents. It's just the time is ridiculous. That's the hardest part. But it comes down to relationships. It comes down to honesty. It comes down to just, talking about that vision and then follow through with it.
Do you see that changing, though, for yourself? Because Urban, at the end of his tenure, was not involved with every commit and all their parents all the way through the process. It was sort of towards the end and getting close to signing day. I know player X is signing. I need to know this, this, and this. And then if there was a potential for a guy going elsewhere, then Urban would get involved in a lot of ways. But is that just who you are? Is that just I always want to know, because at the end of the day, the buck stops here? Or
well, and I think also if you don't create that relationship, and something like what happened with Jeff happens, there's nothing to grab onto.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's critical that I'm in touch with these parents. I'm in touch with these kids all the time, and that takes a lot of work. It beats you up, because for every one kid you get, there's about 5 or 6 other guys that don't come here for whatever reason. So when you add up those numbers, it's hundreds.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot. So that's why today's they are exciting, because of all the work that's been put in.
Where do you get your jackets? Everybody on Twitter wants to know. Is there a special tailor? Is there a store? I mean,
I got a guy. I got a guy.
So
yeah.
is it you found a local guy, or do you source that out?
No, he's up in Akron, and I met a guy, and I asked him where he got his jacket from. He told me, and so my man up in Akron puts he comes down, and we get to pick out the fabric, and so.
I mean, you pay attention. You're young enough that you're paying attention to social media. You see the comments, right? People love the jackets. Couple weird things. What do you listen to in your, Urban would have either Time for War or Hang On Sloopy playing through here all the time. When you're in this office by yourself and you're taking a second to decompress, is it TV? Is there music? What are you finding yourself drawn to?
Yeah, usually it's music. In here, usually country music is something that I listen to a lot. And
you don't consider Florida Georgia Line country music, do you?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit, yeah. I mean, it's
the Pantone effect.
Yeah, I'm not a snob when it comes to all that. I just kind of I like country music, and then this time of year, I listen to a little bit of Christmas music with the family. We like that, and if we're in the car after the game, we listen to some hip hop a little bit with my son in the car.
What was that song?
Ballin'.
Ballin'.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I don't know that at all.
Yeah,
I'm a nerd.
But in terms of relaxing, I just like to be with the family. I like to just hang out and be with my wife and RJ and the girls, and just spend a bunch of time. That's the way I like to relax.
You have young kids, so you're not and a coach. You probably haven't watched TV in 10 years or 20 years, right? Adult TV. What is the show that's always on that the kids are watching that you're like, oh my gosh, can we turn this off?
No, it's not bad. The girls watch Liv and Maddie, and RJ will watch a few things. But we, if we have time together to watch, RJ, we'll watch this time of year, watch Christmas Vacation, and try to watch some funny, Adam Sandler movies or stuff like that.
He's from the same hometown you were from, right?
Same hometown, yeah.
That's weird that town in New Hampshire produce a lot of people.
A lot of stuff, yeah, right in that area.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What's your favorite Adam Sandler movie?
I don't know. I like Happy Gilmore and Big Daddy. Billy
Big
Madison.
Daddy's extremely touching.
Yeah.
It's a very emotional.
Yeah, that's funny.
Anyway, I could probably ask you a bunch of inane stuff. So
It's all good.
I know you got a lot to do. Probably want to get home and spend some time with family before Christmas and before heading off to Phoenix. So thank you very much. Ryan Day, Ohio State head coach, joining us on this edition of Birminology on Lettermen Row. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. Thanks for watching, folks, and we will catch you from Arizona next week.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe below to get the latest videos from Lettermen Row.
We got Letterman Live, we've got the practice report, we got rapid reaction. Hey, and you know we got Buckeye IQ with Zach Bourne.
For sure, we got recruiting breakdowns with Berm. We got whatever you need. Ohio State football and Ohio State athletics, we've got you covered here at Lettermen Row.